What's up, everybody? I am here to talk Emergence Episode 2. We are ready to find out some answers. Now, if you watch the episode like I did, I'm just going to go through and do a play-by-play, and we'll try to pick them apart and determine what exactly is going on. Now, I did watch this episode the other night on television. The reason why I have been delayed in putting up my recap is because I was getting ready for New York Comic Con, which I've been attending. On Thursday, I attended the Emergence panel, and there they screened episode 3. So I'm going to do my best to talk about episode 2 without spoiling things in episode 3, because in episode 3 there's a lot of stuff that happens, and I'm really excited to actually go and review that and watch that, and I hope everyone that watches the show is ready for episode 3, because it's a good one. The episode starts off with our lovely leading lady Jo asleep, and she wakes up at 3:30 a.m. So she checks on the kids. As you can see, Piper is in her room, and she looks like she's sleeping, but she's not. She's actually wide awake. No sooner does she go back to bed, Piper comes in her room and scares the bejesus out of her and says there's somebody outside. Jo goes outside and she doesn't find anything. Turns out to be a false alarm. Nobody's out there. So Mia offers to sleep with Piper in her room. Nobody's out there, no big deal, false alarm, go back to bed. Or is there somebody creeping in the bushes? Who the heck is this guy? Well, we don't know who he is, but he needs to stop creeping in the bushes. Well, when you have a creeper in your bushes, best thing to do is put in a security system. Because as you know, security systems usually stop bad guys. But I guess it can't hurt. Update on the plane crash, the NTSB is still claiming that there was a drone that crashed. It wasn't an actual plane. Jo tells Chris that she would like an autopsy on the fake parents. Oh, we've got some fun stuff coming up. We're going to get to that very soon. Alex is there to pick up Mia to take her to school, and he's not too thrilled when he learns that there was some type of disturbance last night. Obviously, he's concerned for the safety of his family and doesn't seem to quite trust the whole situation with Piper. And you can tell that Piper quickly picks up on this. Well, I mean, he makes it pretty obvious. The whole scene is kind of awkward. Jo sends Piper away while she kind of argues with Alex over the situation, even though Piper is right outside the room and can pretty much hear everything that they're saying. As you guys know, in the last episode, we did see the washing machine go kind of hopping across the room with the laundry basket on it. Dad isn't quite sure what he saw that night. And apparently Chris was not told about the washing machine walking across the room by itself. After Alex leaves, Jo finds Piper up in her room and assures her that Alex does like her, but he's just worried. Piper tells Jo she's a little bit worried because she doesn't want people to be mad at her. Jo goes to meet up with a gentleman that I guess was one of the cleanup guy who was contracted to clean up this plane mess, but when she gets there, someone has already beaten her there. It's Benny! Yay. And there is a really nice eye roll for you. I love her look here. But he has the same questions that Jo had. They want to know about the plane crash and how he cleaned it all up. Apparently some government guy called him in the middle of the night and told him that they needed to clean up that mess immediately before morning. They had him take the wreckage 6 miles away and 30,000 feet under the ocean. That's a long way down. Now the wreckage of this plane is 30,000 feet underwater, except the airband radio. Go on, touch it, Benny, touch it. Ow. Oh, poor Benny got shot. Oh, and this guy got a kick out of it. So this thing is still carrying a charge, and anytime anything conductive gets near, it lights up. So when you put your cell phone up to it, it lights up. Benny recognizes this as a frequency between frequencies, whatever that means. What is going on now? Where are we? Who is this guy? I think this was our creeper in the bushes. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's the creeper from the bushes. He is slapping on the latex. He is in the morgue, and he is pulling out the bodies of the fake parent. And he puts something in their mouth. Looks like a Listerine breath strip. Maybe when you die you get bad breath. And then he puts them back. So now they have fresh minty breath. I get the feeling he's up to no good. Benny does want to learn about what's going on with this radio that lights up, the magical radio. I don't think Jo is ready for his assistance on this. Benny says he had this mysterious key card. It looks like a very fancy chrome hotel room card. He had it imaged and x-rayed and nobody could figure anything out about it. Jo's friend Abby from the hospital has agreed to babysit Piper at the house and keep an eye on her. Abby gives Piper a journal to write down her thoughts. Abby's thinking hopefully this will help trigger her memory, so if there's anything that comes to mind, she can write it down and maybe help her remember things that she's forgotten. And then one minute she's tapping her pencil against the journal, and the next minute she's holding a scalpel and it's bloody, as if she cut somebody. And from the looks of it, it looks like it's scaring Piper just as much. And then we get a cutaway, and let's take a look at what we see in this cutaway. I don't know what that is, but it looks like someone's throat is being slit. It's definitely someone in a containment suit of some type. Yeah, I don't know. And then there's somebody's eye. Something bad happened. And when we get back from this flash cutaway, we get don't. But she remembers something. Don't. Well, dinner time, so forget about all that throat slashing. Piper rips the page up and crumples it up and throws it in a basket. Now, she obviously wants to get rid of whatever she wrote down because either she's frightened by it or she doesn't want people finding out. Chris tells Joe that he heard from Ed, who heard from Abby, that the hospital had some type of data loss when it came to Piper's records. Basically, all of Piper's medical records have been conveniently wiped out. And apparently this is news to Joe. Back at the house, Joe learns that Piper has been given homework of writing down her memories. Piper claims that she has had no memories to write down, but obviously if you check the book, something has been written and taken out. So Joe asks Piper what this little key thingy is, and Mia says it looks like a phone charger or a hotel room key. And what do we have here? Oh, the key card ice scraping thing is lighting up, and Piper wakes up when it lights up, or is she causing it to light up? She holds up her hand to it, and it flies right into her hand. It's like a Jedi mind trick right there. She's a Jedi. She's so startled and frightened by it that she drops it on the ground. And if you look at it on the ground here, it's not lit up anymore. So she basically grabs it and runs with it and takes it back to her room. The next day, I presume, Piper and Ed are inside trying to come up with something to write down in her journal. While Chris is outside fine-tuning the security system, some mysterious man has shown up at the house offering to pay cash for it. This is the same mystery gentleman that's been creeping around. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, nobody has done an autopsy on these fake parents. So they finally go in to check on the bodies, and they are met with a very gruesome surprise. Ew. What the heck happened? Ah! That is what happened. So that is what is left of the fake parents. Yeah, I think maybe those Listerine breath mint strips were a little bit too strong. Joe gets a call from Betty, and he says that someone has broken into his hotel room and stolen things. And Betty suspects that they're after the card, which is at the house. So I'm not quite sure how this guy got in the house, but he's in there now, and obviously he's looking for something. Piper sees the guy and seems to know that he's bad news. At this point, I think it's pretty obvious he's either there for Piper or for that key card thing. And he's also got some type of beeping detector on his phone. Maybe a little bit more advanced than a metal detector, but still some type of detector. Piper knows that he is dangerous, so she's hiding, but she's also keeping an eye on him. The beeping noises on the device start to go off a little bit more rapidly. This alarms Piper, and you see her put her head down and start to get anxious, as she has in the past when we've seen her powers come out. This device leads the gentleman into the bathroom. As you can see here, there's some type of game of operation, I think, going off. The marbles on the Hungry Hippos go off. Side note, our creeper man needs to clean under his nails. Also, he retrieves, as you can see, this is the device that Piper cut out of the side of her neck, and things begin to fall off the shelves, which of course this gentleman can hear happening in the other room. So he looks in the other room and probably is aware that she's in there. At this point, the man walks over to the closet, and I thought for sure he was gonna take her. She looks absolutely horrified. And he shushes her. No, you shush, creeper in the bush, man, you shush. Well, the shushing doesn't work because she screams. And when she screams and gets frightened, we know that bad things happen. The lights start to flicker. Now, Ed was out in the garage and he hears Piper scream, and the light bulb in the garage actually explodes. Well, there goes the front port light. Joe is made at home just in time to catch this guy. Somebody has gone out the window. Creepy guy creeped out the window. But surprisingly, Piper is still there, so he didn't take Piper. I thought for sure he was there to take her. Later on, Alex is back at the house, and he tells Joe he hasn't been sleeping and he's worried about them. So, I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me that ex-hubby is looking for a reason to be back in the house. And I'm not quite sure what the history is between these two characters, but obviously something happened to cause their divorce, and I hope that a little bit more information is revealed to us in future episodes. So it's actually kind of a sweet moment here. I kind of want to ship them, you know? So I was wondering how the creeper got into the house, Now, we did see him approach Chris and say that he was interested in buying the house. I guess Chris didn't realize and didn't know any better and let him in the house. We didn't really see that happen. Maybe there was a cut scene, but it seemed to kind of not be clear right away. But Chris says here that he feels responsible and that he screwed up. But obviously Joe is understanding. Joe mentions to Chris that the gentleman seems to be cleaning up everything, getting rid of the car, the bodies, anything associated with Piper. This prompts Joe to go back to the impound lot where they have the wreckage or what's left of the car that flipped. Now we see something move on the hood of the car. And then Joe's police badge starts to float. Nothing weird about that, just a floating police badge. And you start to hear a little bit of noise. It sounds like someone's actually working on this car. So it looks like a whole bunch of wrenches and other things are sticking on this car like a magnet almost. There's some type of pull happening. And when you look inside, there's all kinds of floating debris in here. I don't know what this is. It's like wrenches and tools. I want to know what is causing this to float inside the car, because Piper isn't there at the moment. At this point, Joe isn't too sure what to think either. And somebody's here. Who could it be? It's the one-man creepy cleanup crew. He's here to tow away the anti-gravity vehicle. Now, when he puts the hook down, it actually floats over to grab onto the car. Ooh, creepy man is busted here. Joe is onto him. All right, so I want to just show a small motion clip of what happens here because it's a little bit too hard to explain. So you get a visual. I know you guys probably already watched this, but let's take a look at this one more time. She tells creepy man to put his gun down and slide it over to her. And he puts his gun down, and this is what happens. Oh, so he slid it and then it went airborne and back and hit the car. So this takes Joe by surprise, and then he throws something else at her. We'll take a look at that real quick too. Oh yeah, he tries to throw the hook at her. So she throws him up against the car and tries to cuff him. Chris is there and has her back. The guy tries to pull his gun off the side of the car, which is stuck there. Since the guy doesn't take his hands off the car when Chris tells him to, he fires a bullet and it just goes flying, like it hits the car and then goes flying this way or something like that. I don't know. It was weird. The two men struggle a little bit. The gun gets knocked out of Chris's hand and goes flying again. Guy's got a gun on Chris, and that... I have to stop that. So basically she was holding the hammer and let it go, and it hit the guy in the face. That was great. When Joe gets back home, Piper is up waiting for her. Joe tells Piper that they caught the man that was in the house today and he won't be back because his face got broken. Joe tells Piper that there are some things happening that she cannot explain, and Piper says sometimes when she gets scared, things happen. Piper tells Joe that when the man was there, some of the stuff in the closet started to move and the lights broke, as we saw. Piper says she thinks this happened because of her, and Piper is really upset at this point because she thinks that she may have made the plane crash. Now we know she's very capable of making this plane crash because we saw what she did with that car, but she seems kind of almost unaware of it. Or if she is aware of her powers, she doesn't know what quite to make of them. And also she seems kind of scared and frightened of them herself. Another really sweet moment, Joe tells Piper that she's special and she understands it a little bit more now. Piper gives the card back to Joe and she opens it up and she sees this yellow thing. This is a lot to process. A lot happened in this episode. Alex is committed to stay at the house as long as people are coming to break in, and he doesn't seem too upset about that. Joe is pretty certain that it's going to keep happening. So Joe decides that perhaps the best way to take down these bad guys is to possibly expose them. So she tells Benny pretty much exactly what she wants in the article. So ultimately, the story is there's a girl that survives a car crash that has amnesia. She doesn't know where she's coming from. She doesn't know where she's from because she can't remember. Oh, and it appears that anti-gravity car is going to be dropped in the bottom of the ocean as well. Creepy man that took a hammer to the face, well, he doesn't look so good. So they print the news story. Now it's out in the open, so there's no more secrets. And down it goes. Now, I don't know if this was happening simultaneously or not, but there's a signal that starts going off on this radio device that they recovered from the crash. Some type of code appears, and there seems to be some type of information or communication happening on this device. And then we're taken to the hospital bed of Creepy Man. There we go. There we are again with the same type of pattern that we saw in episode 1. And that's the end of the episode. Well, I have to tell you guys, this episode raised more questions than gave us answers. As I said, I've seen episode 3, and I don't want to say anything else because I'm afraid I'm going to spill too much information. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Piper is an alien? Do you think she's a test subject, some type of experiment, some type of corporation, or is this a government experiment? And what's the situation with the gravity inside the car and all the different things that are moving, like these powers that she has? What is she capable of doing? I have to say, I really like this cast a lot, and I'm really liking these characters. They're so good. I look forward to more. I can't wait to get in here and talk about episode 3 with everyone because, like I said, I saw this at New York Comic Con and it is awesome. And you guys are going to be really happy when you watch it. So drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think, what your theories are. I really enjoyed going to New York Comic Con. If you want to follow me on Twitter at Laurice F, I did post several pictures of the panel, and the panel was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed seeing the cast up on stage and hearing them talk a little bit about their characters in the series. Until next time, I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.